Hi guys, today I thought I'd make a cooking video. It's been some time since I've made one, so this is a recipe for my mum's Meethi travel sweet rice, and it's a really popular Indian Pakistani dessert, and it's really special to me because it's our family recipe, so I thought I'd share it with you. So you start by getting a big pot with water and bring it to the boil. Whilst the water's boiling, we're going to get our rice. So this is the mug that I use, and fill it with rice. And it's important to use the same container that you use to measure the rice, because you'll need that later on in the recipe as well. I don't tend to do things by grams or weight, so it's this mug, and this is a large mug, so if I'm making it for a number of people or going to give it to my neighbour or something, I'll make like extra. It would normally be a smaller cup if I was making it for my family. So if you use that as a guide, and I'll try and provide you with the actual gram measurements down below. So as you can see, I'm putting it in a mixing bowl and mixing it with water to remove all the starch, just so it's nice and fluffy when we cook it. This isn't necessary, but I like to do this. I'm a creature of habit, so it's just good to get this done, even although we are just going to boil it. So now you can see the water simmering, and we're going to add a few things to this. We're going to add green cardamom pods. I've just added in 5, and yellow food colouring. I didn't have the powder that you can get in Indian and Asian food stores, so I had to use this one I got from Morrison's. It's like a liquid version. It's maybe for mixing icing, so I had to put it in twice to get the kind of right colour. A tiny drop of salt and a tiny drop of oil. This will just help the rice to be separate and not stick together. So now that the rice is washed, we add it into this boiling hot water, and the yellow food colouring will give the rice the colour and also get it to the right, level of cookedness. Because as much as some people find this quite complicated, it is actually quite straightforward. So when I put the rice in, I gave it some time, and I noticed after some time that the colour wasn't right, so at some point I've added in a little bit more, because as it's cooking you want it to take on the yellow colour. This isn't essential. You can miss this step if you want, but I think it's absolutely important. It's just how you see the rice. So while that's boiling, I just got a little cup and I put in some almonds and boiling water. This will allow the skin to come off. Again, you could just crush the almonds up if you wanted to add them, but the way that I was always taught was to remove the skin, so by boiling it. And I love these green raisins, so I get an equal amount of raisins and put them in boiling water so they soften, and as you can see the rice is boiling away here. This is nuts, almonds, pistachios, raisins. It's not important to have it, but I think it's not the same if you skip those steps, so I think it adds to the flavour. And the cardamom, the whole cardamom seeds we put into this water, it'll flavour the rice as well. So you can see here, now that the rice is increased in volume, I'm just checking how cooked they are, and we want to stop cooking them until they're about 3/4 of the way cooked. We don't want to fully cook them, or when we go on to the next stage they'll just turn to mush. So now I'm just going to strain the rice here. So I'm just going to strain the rice, and no need to rinse the pot. I'm just going to reuse the pot for the next stage. So I'm just trying to make sure I'm getting every single grain of rice out of the pot. Try and save as many as you can so you're not wasting it. And then in the pot I'm adding half of non-salted butter, so it's a 250g pack, so I'm only using half of it. Again, if you want yours to be really buttery, you can add in more or less, or any kind of lower fat alternatives, whatever you like. I'm adding the full fat in here. And what we're wanting to do is the same cup we used to measure the rice, I'm measuring equal parts sugar, and I'm adding in about half a cup of milk. The sugar, it should usually be equal to the amount of rice that you use, but as you can see, I didn't completely fill the cup with sugar, but again, you can add in more or less according to your taste. So on a low heat, I'm wanting to dissolve the sugar a little bit. That's why the milk and butter really help. And you'll notice that I didn't wait for the butter to completely melt because I didn't want the butter to burn, so just as that was melting, I added in the sugar to help dissolve it. And you can see it, to enhance the cardamom flavour, I've added in some cardamom powder. Again, if the cardamom pods are enough, you don't need to do this step, but I like to enhance the flavour. Now we're very carefully adding in the cooked rice. So as you can see, the spoon that I'm using is like a plastic, it's not a metal spoon, so we'd have to be really careful we don't break the rice. And I'm really carefully just kind of making sure every grain of rice is coated in that lovely sugary cardamom syrup. So just have to carefully just give it a very, very gentle mix. And as you can see, there is quite a bit of liquid, but that will get absorbed into the rice and the flavour will get absorbed into the rice. And I'm adding in the washed raisins, and I'm adding in desiccated coconut. So this is about 2 to 3 tablespoons, and the raisins is as per your taste. It adds such a depth of flavour, so it's really nice to add it in. And again, I'm just giving that a really, really gentle mix. I'm really trying not to do too much, but I just want to coat every single grain in that syrup. I really don't want to go crazy and over mix it, or it's going to start to break. So you can still see there's liquid there. So I'm using the absorption method. So I'm using a dry towel in the lid, and I'm putting it on a low heat to cook. So this takes 10 to 15 minutes. So I set the timer for 10 minutes, and then whilst that was cooking, I just skinned the almonds and cut them into half, so cut them into slivers. And some people like to crush them, or you can use a powder, or you can avoid this step. Pistachio looks really nice. I didn't actually have any pistachio. Crushed pistachio against the yellow rice looks gorgeous in terms of presentation. So that's an option as well if you like that. And you can see I'm just cutting it up. This is for presentation. I'm going to put some of this in once the rice is cooked, and some for presentation at the end. So you can see here, I opened the lid at 10 minutes, but I just noticed there was some liquid at the bottom. So I gave it, again, as gentle as possible mix. You can see there at the bottom there is a tiny bit of liquid. So then I just put the lid back on and cooked it on a kind of medium heat for another 5 minutes, and it cooked it perfectly, absorbed all the moisture. The towel helps in the moisture absorption as well, but the rice sucks up all that liquid. Here I'm just filling up a little bowl that I'm going to give into my neighbour. Garam garam. Whilst it's hot, I'm just going to pass it into my neighbour. So I just wanted to show you how I decorate this. So I just fill it up. And some of the things that I've already added in, the almonds, I'm just going to cover at the top with some almonds and desiccated coconut. And also, just for a colour contrast, I added in some edible rose petals, which adds a nice colour, but the pistachios would be so much better. And that's it, guys. So it's maybe feels a lot more complicated than it is, but it's actually a lot more straightforward. I watched my mum cook this when I was growing up, so I feel like that's just given me an extra edge in cooking this, and I haven't cooked it for some time, and I still remembered the recipe. So I'd really love you to try it and let me know how you get on, and please like, share, follow and subscribe. Thank you.